moving somewhere new, you definitely need to think about how safe the area is before you plan to live your life there. How likely is it that your car is going to get broken into in the grocery store parking lot or your home? Are you going to be mugged walking down the street? We all watch the news, and the last few years have been a doozy. Violent crime has increased in the U.S. since 2020. Nationwide, homicides were up 22% from 2019 to 2021. It's important to find a safe place to call home. As a very trusting person who recently had my own bag, purse, wallet, keys stolen from the pool deck, this topic is on my mind. Thank you for watching. My name is Leslie. I'm making new videos on life and real estate here in Southwest Washington every week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn the bell on for notifications so you don't miss a video. This is the 5th video in my series on moving to Washington State. Don't miss the first 4. I'm going to link those above. In this video, I'm going to talk about various, kind of like where Washington ranks nationwide in terms of safety, and then also what the most safe and least safe cities are in Washington State. On a national level, unfortunately, Washington did not have any cities that ranked in the top 10 safest cities. Most of them are concentrated in Texas and California. According to smartasset.com, the top 10 safest cities are Frisco, Texas, McKinney, Texas, Santa Clarita, California, Sunnyvale, California, Glendale, California, McAllen, Texas, Cary, North Carolina, Santa Clara, California, Plano, Texas, and Torrance, California. Washington nationally is ranked number 42 for property crime, obviously out of 50 states. You have a 2.68% chance of being a property crime victim in Washington in the next 12 months. And Washington's property crime rate is 27% higher than the average crime rate in the United States. In Washington, Tukwila had the highest property crime rate in Washington with 163.9 incidents per 1,000 people. Washington's average property crime rate is more than 5 points higher than the overall national rate, and only 8 states and the District of Columbia have higher rates. Even among the Western U.S., which tends to have high property crime rates, Washington is above average. The West's average property crime rate is about 24 incidents per 1,000 people. Rocket Mortgage did their own analysis of safest cities in the U.S., and Washington did have a ranking city, which was Wenatchee, Washington. That was number 10 on their list. With a population of 120,000 people, the property crime rate is 1,143.8, and the violent crime rate is 1. And that violent and property crime numbers, those are the rates per 100,000 inhabitants. Honestly, I was kind of surprised by all of this because I feel like Washington is very safe. I've never had my car broken into living here, except for when I lived up in Seattle. Then I had my car broken into. But on a daily basis, I'm not worried about leaving stuff out on the seat in my car. I've never been worried about leaving. I don't know. I am seeing these numbers, and I am just not computing that so much with where I have lived in Vancouver, Washington. Statewide, like its neighbor Oregon, Washington has a lower than average violent crime rate, yet higher levels of property crime. In the state's larger cities such as Seattle and Spokane, you're more likely to have your car broken into than become a victim of an assault. Still, despite Washington's property crime issue, there are plenty of communities in the state with an all-around high level of safety. So let's take a look at Washington's 5 safest cities. The safest city in Washington is Snoqualmie, which is a compact suburb of Seattle. Recording just 2 violent crimes in 2017, Snoqualmie logged a very low 0.15 violent crime per 1,000 resident rate, along with a property crime rate half of the U.S. national average. Sorry, some of this data is a little bit older. I was just doing my best to find what I could to draw you guys a picture. Second place goes to Enumclaw, is a King County city that boasts an excellent violent crime rate, just 0.85 per 1,000 residents, along with a property crime rate lower than the state and national averages. There's not much of a drop-off between number 2, Enumclaw, and number 3, West Richland. In fact, the latter city actually has lower overall crime rates, factoring in its very low property crime rate of 11.71 per 1,000 people, and it falls to the number 3 spot on account of a lower ratio of law enforcement personnel to residents. Fourth in the ranking is Sunnyside, a small city in eastern Yakima County. Sunnyside did not muster the low crime rates of Washington's top 3 safest cities, but its violent and property crime rates are both below the national average. Closing out the top 5 is Oak Harbor, a city on Whidbey Island whose crime rates are quite a bit lower than number 4, which was Sunnyside's, but logged a lower law enforcement to resident ratio that worsens its overall safety rating. The safest towns in Clark County, This does not include towns that are less than 10,000, so I'm sorry. They ranked based on a safety index score they got by calculating violent crime rates and property crime rates by dividing the crime numbers by the population to get rates per 1,000. Then they weighted factors like law enforcement and crime rates to get the safety index score. So that's what we're talking about here, is that safety index score. The higher the number is, the more safe a city is. Of the safest top 50 cities in Washington, a few Clark County towns made the list. Camas came in at number 13 with its safety index score of 0.24. Battleground came in at number 25. Their safety score was 0.12. Washougal came in at number 27. Their safety index score was 0.12. Vancouver came in at number 60. Their safety index score was 0.43. USA.com published stats on the safety index scores for cities across Washington, and according to them, these Clark County cities are the safest to live in. On a side note, USA.com has their own crime index value, and I believe it is the tabulation of crime per 100,000 people, but they have their own algorithm. It's not the same as that safety index score. So safety is in Clark County. La Center, Washington, crime index is 642, ranked number 22. Camas had a crime index of 861 and ranked at number 41. Washougal had a crime index rate of 1131 and ranked at 67 statewide. Battleground's crime rate was 1287 and ranked at 83 statewide. Woodland had a rate of 1963 and came in at 141. Vancouver was 1990 and ranked at 142 statewide. The reported least safest cities in Washington in no particular order are Spokane, Tukwila, Seattle, Bellingham, Walla Walla, Lakewood, Aberdeen, Shelton, Tacoma, Toppenish, and that is all. In the news, let's talk about some things that are coming up in the news. I'm looking at like the Columbian and Clark County Today primarily to get information on safety here in Clark County, Washington. So this headline, report finds more violent crime, fewer officers in Washington. State has the lowest officer per capita ratio in the US. This was just published in July, last month in 2022. Here are the bullet points from this article. A statewide crime report released this summer shows an increase in violent crimes in 2021. Declining law enforcement staffing led Washington to be the state with the lowest officer per capita ratio in the nation. That seems not great. Overall, crime declined 3.7% statewide compared to 2020, but the decrease was driven by reductions in fraud and drug charges. Fewer drug charges were referred to prosecutors last year after the state Supreme Court's Blake ruling in February of 2021 decided that the state's drug possession law was unconstitutional. See the article that I linked below if you want to read that for the full thing. March of 2021, Clark County law enforcement no longer taking action for drug possession. Washington State had record high murders last year with 325 versus 302 in 2020. Last year, the state had 495 fewer officers than in 2020. The national average of officers per 1,000 is 2.33. Washington's rate fell to 1.38 last year. According to SaveClarkCounty.com, Clark County Sheriff's Office has the lowest ratio in the state at 0.57 deputies per 1,000 residents. Violent crime increased 12% over 2020, 10% spikes in robberies, and 15% increase in aggravated assaults. Here's another article to paint a picture of what to expect in Clark County if you move here. Beginning March 31st, 2022, Clark County patrol deputies will no longer respond to calls for several different types of services. Bullet points here. Due to staffing shortages, the Sheriff's Office is cutting services to alleviate the strain on their deputies to respond to calls. Some of the services cut are theft of property under $750 where there is no suspect information, damage or graffiti where there is no suspect information, minor crimes such as property damage, fighting at schools, trespassing where the property owner does not want to press charges, trespassing on public lands. That one I find interesting because I think that that's related to somewhat of what's going on with homelessness. All of this might sound a little grim, but keep in mind I've lived here for all of, I moved here in 95. I lived in Seattle for 8 years. And for the most part, I feel like it's a very safe place to live. I don't hear a lot from like friends, family members, neighbors going out and like complaining about crime in the community. So seeing these stats, it is surprising to me statewide that maybe Washington is not ranking well, but maybe that's because I live in a little bubble here in Clark County where it feels very safe. I will say that the stories I do hear about crime in this area have to do with Portland. Recently, I had someone telling me how they are big into going to basketball games down there, and they were basically told parking in the parking garage at the Moda Center, not Rose Quarter anymore. Do they call it Rose Quarter? I can't remember. Because I don't go to Portland. That they were told by security to just go ahead and get everything out of your car. Don't leave anything valuable in it and leave it unlocked, because if you leave it locked, you are more likely going to get your car, like your window broken, and like someone might break into your car to get like a charger, essentially. So that's not worth it. So just get everything out of it and leave it unlocked so that they can raid your car. I'd be worried about my car getting stolen. I don't know. That's why I don't go to Portland. Just don't go. That is the solution. Things I go to Portland for would be like hospitals. Like they have the best children's hospitals, right? So one of my kids injured her finger last year and needed to get surgery. And so we were down at Randall's down there. I have a nephew who has cancer, and like they go to Dornbecker, and like my sister's family actually like moved out to the Idaho region, but they stayed at Dornbecker for chemo because it is the best children's hospital in this like whole region. And they obviously, everyone wants the best for their kids. So yeah, overall, I'm sorry if this was a bit of a downer. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just using stats that I found. I've linked every article below. So if you wanna read it for yourself, please do. Overall, like I said, I don't experience, other than having my like stuff stolen a couple weeks ago, but that was very unusual. I had gone to that club, that gym, for a really, really, really long time. I've never had an issue. And I was like at the pool with my kids and went back to my seat. And I'm very trusting, so I just left all of my stuff out. It was probably like a wide open bag. Like, oh, there's her phone. Sorry, someone called me in the middle of that story, so I have to start over. My bag was probably wide open, like inviting the people in to steal it, because I'm an idiot about that stuff. Now I'm not though. So yes, they grabbed my stuff and left. And the first thing I did when I realized my bag was gone with my car keys, my wallet, and my phone was run out to the parking lot to make sure they didn't steal my car, which they did not. And then like the police officer was already there because they had grabbed someone else's stuff, blah, blah, blah. They went straight to Portland. So they took, I think that it was like an organized crime thing where they grabbed the stuff and they went straight to Portland. And then my cards were used at like a variety of stores in Portland within an hour of being stolen before I could get them turned off, because I didn't have a phone to turn them off with. Anywho, that's the only time. And the club owner said like, this has never happened. This is very unusual. And they're taking measures to obviously prevent it. I think that like Portland's mismanagement of crime and like not prosecuting things down there with theft is just like a little bit trickling in over here, which just means we have to be more careful and try not to get your stuff stolen at the pool like I did. All right, as always, let me know if you have any questions. Reach out to me if you want to chat at all. My contact information is in the header above and also in the description below. I am happy to answer any questions you have about what it's like to live here in Clark County, Washington, and I hope I talk to you soon. Bye.